MS Reddy's farmer. I can see the Honorable Pukosa is here. 4, question number 049 of 2025 by the nominated member Honorable Irene Mayaka MP regarding steps taken by the government to address vaccines shortages and ensure uninterrupted immunization services. 5 is question number 050 of 2025 by the member for Kirinyaga Honorable Joseph Gitari MP regarding reasons why the administrator of the National Police Service Medical Insurance Scheme, MS Medical Administrators Kenya Limited, MAKL, does not allow its beneficiaries to choose their preferred hospitals for medical services. 6 is question number 051 of 2025 with the member for Manyatta, Honorable Gitonga Mukunji, regarding non-operationalization of the Rehabilitation Fund as established under Section 53 of the Narcotics, Drugs, and Psychotropic Substances Control Act, Cap 245. And 7 is question number 052 of 2025 by the member for Nyandarua County, Honorable Faith Getao, CBS MP, regarding measures undertaken by the ministry to secure affordable treatment for multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, considering its more challenging and prolonged treatment regime. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, the House business will reconvene again on Tuesday, 15th April 2025 to schedule business for the rest of the week. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Did you notice your mention of Dr. Bukosa's question put a broad smile on the face of the member for Homa Bay?
Very broad, Honorable Speaker. I know it is sure condoms. I don't know what is, but you know, condom use in Homa Bay at one point was one of the counties that had very low use of condoms. But following a lot of civic education, which the member from Homa Bay was a keen participant in that civic education, the use of condoms in Homa Bay County has become prevalent, and this has reduced the infectious sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV/AIDS.
Was it education in theory or in practice?
At one point, we had nicknamed him Akuku Danger.
Next order. Yes, order. Honorable Jeanette.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to seek your indulgence before I react to the issue of Homa Bay. Mr. Speaker, you know it's unreligious to use condom. I don't know that the majority is aware of that. It's unreligious. The religion don't allow condoms. Even Catholic, even Islam, you are supposed to abstain. You're not supposed to use condom. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, that's on a light note. Abstinence, Mr. Speaker, that's what the religion. Yeah, condom should be banned so that you don't do anything. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to seek your indulgence, Mr. Speaker. There is an issue, Mr. Speaker, concerning the bicameral operation of the Parliament, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, last week, was it this week or this week, on Tuesday, we debated the motion that contained the bill that was returned back by the Senate to the National Assembly, which contained amendments that had negated the purpose of the whole bill, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, also, the Supreme Court has done a historic ruling on this matter. And this matter has been pending since the inauguration of the new constitution, because nobody knew the demarcations between the two houses, Mr. Speaker, and every house wanted to do the work of the other house. Especially the Senate wanted to do more work that belongs to the National Assembly. So, Mr. Speaker, my request to you is that for the benefit and for posterity and for the benefit of this House going forward, Mr. Speaker, so that we know where our boundaries reach, where our beacons are, Mr. Speaker, I wish to request you to give a communication, Mr. Speaker, to the House, which goes on record, outlining the issues that have been decided in the Supreme Court ruling, Mr. Speaker, so that it becomes now very clear that the Speaker has issued communication that every member can refer to, Mr. Speaker. So it is my wish that this is going to be one of the most important pronouncements and communication that the speakers will have made in this year, Mr. Speaker, because it is a very, very important matter, and I'm happy that the Supreme Court had made its decision. And as you are aware, the case was taken to court by the Senate, not by the National Assembly. So, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I request that you seek my, you allow or you consider my request for you to give a communication on that matter so that we can use it as a reference, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to support the request by the leader of minority, even as we communicate that, and I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you'll indicate that this House's caucus on legislation, litigation, and related matters was seized of this matter upon your convention, and that the matter was actually referred to the caucus for consideration. But that notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, I think it is still possible for you to issue a communication on the decision of the Supreme Court, because it is quite direct and it's very specific on the legislation that was brought and was challenged, and it might be indicative and guide the House moving forward. I think the initial confusion had been caused somewhere around 2013, when an advisory opinion had been sought of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court made a statement that sweepingly suggested that virtually every legislation must concern a county, because every part of the country is part of a county. And I think that created a confusion that has lasted almost 10 years. So it is very good that the Supreme Court finally clarified that it is not every piece of legislation that must go to the Senate, because not every piece of legislation concerns counties. So I would support a communication to that effect, because it would help us. Importantly, and it's of interest to this House, that the Supreme Court did address itself to the question of the NG-CDF Act 2015, which was part of the legislation that was challenged on the basis that it did not go to the Senate. And the Supreme Court was very clear that it did not need to go to the Senate, and to that extent, it was not unconstitutional. That has direct relevance to matters we are litigating, and we will not talk about the merit, but it is important to note, because many people had thought that the Supreme Court had pronounced itself on the NG-CDF Act as amended in 2022 and declared it unconstitutional, not knowing that the only pronouncement that had been made was on the initial NG-CDF Act as it existed in 2013. And so it is also helpful because it's educative to Kenyans. It is helpful to judicial officers who are considering it to know that it is not true that the current NG-CDF Act was ever declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. But with that, Mr. Speaker, I support an idea of a communication. Thank you.
Oundo, on the same issue?
Yes. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 clearly demarcated the roles of the two chambers of Parliament. And it was always hoped and believed that the very senior members, so-called senior members who sit in the Senate, will be the first people to protect the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Fourth schedule, likewise, Honorable Speaker, set out the mandate of each level of government. I want to raise this to support the sentiments by my leader, and as you issue that communication, Honorable Speaker, go all your way to clearly demarcate where can government officers report to. Should they be called to Senate to answer on matters that are exclusively a national government matter? Can they just be called by anybody to go and do literally nothing? Honorable Speaker, when you meet quite a number of these accounting officers, they complain bitterly. They are always called upon to go to Senate to answer on matters that has got nothing to do with the county governments, with the devolution at all. So in that way of communication, Honorable Speaker, we request and beseech you to lay the law very clear so that we avoid this confusion, duplication, and essentially one-time waste of public time to answer the same question repeatedly from this end to this end. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, George Murugara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, indeed that request is actually timely. The reason being that what the Senate does and continues to do is actually in total breach of our Constitution. Just the other day, they had summoned the judiciary to go and answer questions, I don't know on what. Really? Can the Senate summon the judiciary to answer questions on matters that do not touch on county governments? And how does the judiciary have matters touching on county governments? I think when you go into this elaborate communication, consider also whether that was within their purview or this is the imaginative power they are giving to themselves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Gishimu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I add my voice to the request done by Honorable Junet, the demarcation between the mandate of the National Assembly and the Senate is already there in the Constitution, Article 95 and Article 96, respectively. Honorable Speaker, as you also give this communication, if you are persuaded to, my only worry is that whether your communication would also be binding on the other House of Parliament, but be as it may, that communication is also good for the public consumption so that it can be known which House of Parliament is abdicating or transgressing or trespassing into to the other House of Parliament, because the Constitution, as is written, cannot be changed, has not been changed. And unless that is done, then we have to maintain our lanes in terms of legislative oversight and representation. Honorable Speaker, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Junet. I'll do so within the next 2 weeks. Next order.
Order number 9, the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2025, second reading, resumption of debate.
Who was on the floor? There was nobody on the floor.
Honorable Speaker, I'm standing under Standing Order 95 to call that the mover be called to reply. This anti-money laundering and the combating of terrorism financial laws amendment bill, we deliberated yesterday and even up to late in the night, in the evening. And I think we also have other pending business, and I would request that members allow that the mover be called to reply so that we can transact the other business on approval of the PSS. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, is that the mood of the House? Then mover, Majority Leader, who moved the motion? It's under your name. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity first to thank all the members who have contributed on this bill on the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill, Bill number 5 of 2025. Honorable Speaker, as we said when the Chief Whip moved this bill on my behalf, this is a bill that seeks first to create equity and fairness in the financial services sector, to ensure that what is being done within the banking sector, insurance companies, and all the other financial sector services, the same is done even within our circle societies and other money handling agencies in the country. True, Honorable Speaker, I listened to quite a number of contributions and keenly, including the contribution by the member for Homa Bay, who is a very ardent debater in this House. And many of the concerns, Honorable Speaker, that were raised, including issues touching on regulations that will come before this House, are issues that we have agreed with the chair of the committee that these are issues that we can look into. And if in any case there are no regulations that will ever take effect in law without being approved by this House, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, just to convince members of this House and Kenyans at large that there is really nothing much to worry about. You remember, Honorable Speaker, when we first passed the Anti-Money Laundering Act about 2 or 3 years ago, The same fears were expressed in this house, and I remember in the last parliament, we had similar fears being expressed, especially around the profession of lawyers. At that time, lawyers were up in arms against the law. But this law having been in effect, it has helped the country in ensuring that we stem the scourge of money laundering, not just locally, but in the region. It's sad, Honorable Speaker, that our country was grey listed last year, or about 2 years ago, and this is part of the measures that were agreed on, the changes that need to be effected within our laws, and further strengthening our anti-money laundering act to help combat not just money laundering and the flow of illicit financing, not just for terrorism, but even for narcotics, Honorable Speaker. And we must come out as a nation within this region, as a nation that is at the forefront in combating money laundering, especially around terrorism financing, because of our proximity to countries that where there are active terrorism cells. Then we become a nation of a country of interest to many people around the world, and therefore it's important that we continue to strengthen these laws. Honorable Speaker, I know again there have been fears that have been expressed by members in contributing around SASTRA and the regulatory agency that regulates our SACCOs. Just to give you assurance again, just like happened with lawyers, there is no time SASTRA will come and superintend over your money. SASTRA regulates the SACCOs. For instance, PACOSO or Bunge SACCO, SASTRA does not regulate my money in PACOSO or in Bunge SACCO. It regulates the SACCOs themselves. And therefore, all the regulations that will come to the House, and as I emphasize, those regulations must come here for approval. Those regulations will be to regulate the SACCOs so that we are able to stem money laundering even within the SACCO sector, because it has also been identified as a major conduit for money laundering and terrorism financing, Honorable Speaker. And with that, I beg to move and urge all your support. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to reply.
Thank you. Members on their feet, take your seats. Pauline, take the nearest seat. Thank you, honorable members. I'll now pull the question at order number 9, which is that the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2025, be now read a second time. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next,
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the laws relating to anti-money laundering and combating of terrorism financing and proliferation of financing and for connected purposes. Order number 10, special motion, consideration of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services.
Chair, Committee on Health, Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Health in its report on the vetting of nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155(3)(b) of the Principal Secretary, State Department for the Ministry of the Constitution approves the appointment of Dr. Frederick Uma Oluga as the Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, Ministry of Health. Honorable Speaker, following your communication on Wednesday, March 26, 2025, and conveyed to the House the message from His Excellency the President, and subsequently referred the name of the nominee curricular vitae Public Service Commission report on his recruitment to respective committee for approval hearing. While referring to the matter to the committee, you directed that the committee undertake the vetting exercise within 28 days under Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Cap 7F, and reports be ready for tabling on or before 22nd of April 2025. Honorable Speaker, you further directed that the clerk of the National Assembly to notify the nominee and general public by placing adverts in the 2 newspapers of nationwide circulation and parliamentary website of the time and the place of holding the approval of hearings by Friday, 4th April 2025. In accordance with Section 6(9) of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, the clerk of the National Assembly invited interested members of the public to submit any representation by written statements on oath or affidavits with supporting evidence on the suitability of the nominee for the appointment to the position which no memorandum was received for and against the nominee. Honorable Speaker, the committee conducted the approval hearing on Friday, 4th April 2025. In conducting the approval hearing, the committee was guided by the provisions of the Constitution, the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approvals Act, Cap 7F, the Leadership Integrity Act, Cap 185C, the Public Officer Ethics Act, Cap 185B, the Public Service Commission Act, Cap 185, and the National Assembly Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, following the committee's deliberations and analysis of the submissions and presentation received on the suitability of the nominee for appointment to the position, the committee observed that Dr. Frederick Ouma Oluga, OGW, demonstrated requisite knowledge and experience to perform the functions of the position for Principal Secretary for the State Department of Medical Services, Ministry of Health. He further met all statutory and constitutional requirements to perform the functions of the position. Honorable Speaker, the committee, having considered the suitability, competence, experience, and integrity of Dr. Oluga Frederick Ouma, OGW, following the approval process and taking into consideration its observations and findings, and pursuant to the provisions of the Constitution, Sections 3, 5, and 8(2) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, the National Assembly Standing Orders, Senate Standing Orders, recommend that the Parliament approves the nomination of Dr. Oluga Frederick Ouma, OGW, to the position of Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, Ministry of Health. Honorable Speaker, Dr. Oluga was interviewed by the committee on the date mentioned and responded to questions during the sittings as follows. Dr. Oluga Frederick Ouma is a Kenyan citizen of national identity, card number 23797977, born in Bondo, Siaya in 1984, and he bears no other citizenship. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Oluga has a requisite academic qualifications. He holds a Master of Degree of Medicine, M.Med, in Internal Medicine from the University of Nairobi, School of Medicine. He also holds a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from the University and School of Medicine, or Moi University School of Medicine. He acquired the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education from Maranda High School, where he scored A's. Mr. Speaker, in addition, Dr. Oluga presented several professional certifications gained locally and internationally in labor movement, in health labor union leadership, in governance locally and abroad, in disease management, in dangerous pathogens control management. Mr. Speaker, the nominee actually is very highly qualified for the positions that we're looking for. His work experience is equally impressive, and currently is the director, he was acting director and head of Directorate of Health Sector Coordination and Research Development at the Ministry of Health. He has also served in the same ministry at Deputy Director of Health, and also he has served as Director of Health Services at the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. I think we are all aware. And there he actually spearheaded strategic thinking that actually resulted in the implementation of and a construction of several hospitals with the idea of actually relieving congestion that's a big problem at Kenyatta National Hospital. He is also a co-founder and co-chair of the Health Workers for All Coalition. And this is an international organization where he has mobilized global workforce advocacy, securing considerable sums of money to fund the coalition. Mr. Speaker, the nominee is actually very, very experienced, and he further informed the committee that he was also the secretary and the CEO of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Pharmacists Dentists Union, which gives him experience in the management of labor issues in the workshop. We know how we are affected by this issue in the health sector. And when we questioned him further on this, he said he has actually managed this, and during his leadership of the union, they had only one strike, and he actually believes in dialogue and solving these problems instead of street actions. Also, Mr. Speaker, he has also served as Registrar Internal Medicine at Kenyatta National Hospital. So his experience is actually really profound. He's also a member of the professional associations, and he is a Kenya Medical Association, the union I've already talked about, and he's also, this is important, a designated health practitioner with the Directorate of Occupational Health. That is actually industrial health. And he's been awarded, okay, I will make a summary. He's been awarded the Grand Warrior, the Order of the Grand Warrior in this country. Now, he met all the clearance requirements for the Kenya Revenue Authority, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, the Director of Criminal Investigation, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and HELP. And he has indicated he has no conflict of interest or no potential conflict of interest, except that he runs a consultancy in occupational health, which he indicates he has actually resigned from that. And when we actually interviewed him on actually very current issues in the ministry, healthcare financing, the issue of social health insurance, he had a fairly profound knowledge of the structure, the health financing mechanism and the systems, and he had very good recommendations on how we can move forward and get the social health authority working. And he understands the need for primary health care, which actually saves money for the country, and he has actually established 47 primary care networks. So somebody asked about maternal health. He has proposed a transfer system for mothers who are in labor. So in all, Mr. Speaker, this is a very well-rounded professional. His academic qualifications are actually up to date. His experience is up to date. when we asked him about his net worth.
The Honorable Dr. Nyikal, the Chair, Departmental Committee on Health, the report of the committees in the House and the indication I'm getting from the House is that they appear to have read everything you are telling us. So would you kindly...
Therefore, the committee, having considered all the report that we have all read, that we are aware of, therefore considered the suitability and capacity and integrity of the nominee, and pursuant to Section 2 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, the committee recommends that the National Assembly approves the appointment of Dr. Frederick Ouma Oluga, OW, to the position of Principal Secretary, State Department of Medical Services. And Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and ask Honorable Patrick Munene to second.
Honorable Patrick Munene.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I don't want to say so many things after my chairman has gone through the whole report, the committee's report. I will just say 3 key things about Dr. Oluga. One, Dr. Oluga was a student at Marada High School where he scored airplane. 2, Dr. Oluga has worked with Nairobi Metropolitan Services as in charge of all the services. 3, Dr. Oluga has been a deputy director at the Ministry of Health. In the same ministry he has been appointed. And also Dr. Oluga currently has been a director at the Ministry of Health. So I want to assure Kenyans that we've got somebody who has experience, who knows the ministry. Dr. Oluga has been involved in laying the primary health care networks in this country. All the 47 of them, in all the 47 counties, he was the one in charge in the ministry when all these primary care networks were created. And finally, this is somebody who has been the CEO of the Kenya Medical and Practitioners Union. And most of the times the ministry finds itself in a dark place with the KMPDU. And Dr. Oluga, having been their CEO, having worked with the doctors, he has worked in the union side and he has worked with the executive side as a director in the medical services. So there's a qualified candidate who I'm really sure that will do well for the health of this country. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I propose the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Health in its report on the vetting of nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution, approves the appointment of Dr. Oluga Frederick Ouma, OGW, as Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, Ministry of Health. The Honorable Otiende Amolo.
Mike, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support this. Dr. Ouma Oluga is from my constituency. So surely you must allow me to speak about my constituent. And it's not just from my constituency. He's from a village called Okela. And he went to school in an ordinary primary school called Okela, which is neighboring to my school, which was called Chianda. And like me, he excelled and went to Maranda, where I also went, and I'm the patron of the old boys. And like me, he topped his class and went to study medicine. Me, I went to study law. Surely you must allow me to talk about such a man. Mr. Speaker, the only thing I need to add are only 2 things. One, in terms of experience, both the mover and the second have talked about it. But let me add a few things that are not clear there. One, Dr. Ouma Oluga also served as a medical officer of health in Vihiga County. So he has also had the experience of working in what you would call, rural or semi-rural Kenya. Dr. Ouma Oluga has also served as a lecturer in medicine. That may not have come out. Dr. Ouma Oluga was not only the CEO of the Kenya Medical Dentists and Practitioners Union, but he was also the Secretary General. Now that is important because you will remember in his time, Dr. Ouma Oluga led the longest strike of doctors in this country, lasting 1 year. At a time we are having problems with people in that profession, I think none is more suitable than a person like that to bridge that relation between the practitioners and government. But lastly, it is also important to mention that when he was serving as registrar at the Kenyatta National Hospital, he served in the biggest hospital. But more lately, he's been director in charge of the health sector coordination. Now, in that capacity, he has interacted not just with the counties, but also with the partners. And so he knows the terrain. Mr. Speaker, at a time we are having all sorts of issues with SHA and SHIF, none is more suited to help us navigate this conundrum than Dr. Frederick Ouma Oluga. I support, Mr. Speaker.
The minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, you know, our colleagues on the other side are wondering why we want to contribute. They expect us just to approve. I want to tell them that we want to take pride in the kind of experts we are sending to government as ODM, Mr. Speaker. The kind of people that we are sending to this government, Mr. Speaker, to help this government, Mr. Speaker. Look at the type of Dr. Ouma Oluga, Frederick, Mr. Speaker. Where else could they have found him other than ODM, Mr. Speaker? So that's why I had to take time to speak, because, Mr. Speaker, you know, they may just see it, you know, take it for granted that we are sending people there. We are sending serious people, people of high caliber, people of high standard, Mr. Speaker. And you can see, Mr. Speaker, since the broad-based government started, and we started sending experts to this government, the face of this government has changed, Mr. Speaker. People take this government more serious than any other time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and that, I know, majority leader will agree with me, because he is part of the mechanics who are bringing this broad-based thing together, Mr. Speaker. The majority leader is playing a big role, Mr. Speaker. He knows, and he normally checks when we bring serious people, and he tells me, Junet Mafundi, that you are bringing the right people to government. Mr. Speaker, look at what is happening in this government after the broad-based. The government just looking up. Healthcare is being reformed. Education is being reformed. Energy is being reformed. Treasury now. The economy is looking up. The economy, look, the inflation has gone down. The interest rates have gone down, Mr. Speaker. There's a lot of confidence in the economy because of sending an expert like John Badingongo, our former chairman of our party, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have joined these, we have come together in this broad base to help our country, to make sure that our country succeeds. That's why we want to have people like Ouma Oluga in the health ministry. And you know, this parliament has changed all the laws pertaining to health. We have brought, you know, digital health care, Mr. Speaker. You need serious people now, like Ouma Oluga, to handle that thing. SHA. Mr. Speaker, I am a very proud man today as a Kenyan. I never thought one day Ouma Oluga will get a chance to exercise the kind of knowledge he has, Mr. Speaker. I used to admire him when he was the KPMDU Secretary General, a young man who was self-made, a young man who grew up in this country, participated in every aspect of healthcare in this country. NMS, built hospitals in Kijijis, Mr. Speaker, you remember, when he was the secretary, the PS of NMS, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge members to take ODM more serious. We have more experts. If you want more experts, please write to me as the minority leader, and I will take it to Baba Raila Odinga. We have more experts in law, in healthcare, in engineering, in water, in all kinds of things, Mr. Speaker. We are a think tank full of experts, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I must get the rights to brag, because experts are coming from ODM. What do you mean, Mr. Pokose, Dr. Pokose? Thank you very much.
You know, the Honorable Majority Leader takes precedence. Take back your seat. Please, sit down. Take your seat. Take your seat, Honorable Member. The Majority Leader will be heard in silence. Total silence.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the nomination of, or rather the appointment of the nominee as Principal Secretary, Dr. Oluga Ouma. Frederick. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to get into the debate of whether he's an expert from ODM or not. Dr. Oluga is a Kenyan and a very professional young Kenyan, very competent, and I have known him since his days in the union. And I think at one point he also served at Nairobi City County as a CEC or a chief officer, I can't remember. And he's a man who is very professional. And Honorable Speaker, as much as the leader of minority says they are giving experts to this government, these experts are Kenyans. And the leader of minority will agree with me, they are equally competent experts in UDA. But His Excellency the President purposed to broaden the base. And as the Honorable Junet says, there have been many fundis in broadening the base. Because for a base to be broad and firm, it needs fundis who will fix to ensure that you have a strong base where good professionals like Dr. Oluga and others can sit in and serve Kenyans. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Junet, having been one of the fundis, knows that there are very good experts within ODM, even within the other political parties. I am sure this professional is not, may not want to be seen as a member of any political party. And in fact, it is one of the requirements that they declare whether they are officials of political parties. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with any Kenyan being a member of a political party, because people have political affiliation, including professionals. Yes. Even cabinet secretaries have cabinet affiliation. And therefore, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a nominee being a member of a political party. The only thing the law does not allow them to do is to hold office in political parties or to conduct their work in public office in a partisan manner. And therefore, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of your political affiliation, serve the people of Kenya diligently and with commitment, knowing that you're coming into public service to serve the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, when the broad-based government came into being, it wasn't just about broadening the base to create positions for people. It's about service delivery to Kenyans. And wherever you find a good person to offer good service to the people of Kenya, get them. If you find them in Wiper, get them. If you find them in ODM, get them. If you find them in UDA where there's a repository of knowledge, equally get them. And equally, those within government who are incompetent have time also to be shown the door. And indeed, I am happy this House has led from the front in showing the door incompetency. Those who have been incompetent, this House has taken action. And therefore, even as we appoint, as we approve these nominees, we want to tell them, show your competence, express your professional good manners in office, work for the people of Kenya, do not work for a region, do not work for a party, work for all the people of Kenya with diligence, commitment, and knowing that in your service in government, you are serving the people who are ultimately the bosses. The appointing authority may be your boss, but ultimately the boss is the people of Kenya, and serve them with commitment. There are challenges, and I am very certain that Dr. Oluga knows the challenges that have been there in the health ministry. I am confident now with
Add the majority leader 1 minute to conclude.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I was saying, Honorable Speaker, I am very confident with the leadership of CS Aden Duale at the helm now at the Ministry of Health. The issues that we have seen in the past, that house being nicknamed Mafia House, Duale and PS Oluga will clean out the mafia. The issues that we have seen, the challenges that have been there with the Social Health Insurance Fund, Honorable Speaker, I am very confident. My predecessor, Honorable Aden Duale, together with Dr. Oluga, have now what it takes to combine the leadership skills and the wisdom of CS Aden Duale and the professionalism and experience of Dr. Oluga to fix what has not been right at Afia House. Honorable Speaker, and therefore support and urge all the members to support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What is out of order, Honorable Pukose?
Honorable Speaker, I having allowed the member for Rarieta, who Dr. Omoluka is a village from there, is a villager from that place, and knowing that we still have many other principal secretaries to approve, can I be in order to ask that we approve Dr. Oluka as principal secretary for health and move to the next approvals, and members can still contribute to those ones?
Is it the mood of the House that the mover be called to reply? Yes. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of contrary opinion say nay? Mover, the ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, everything has been said. I reply.
Thank you. Order, Honorable Oundo. Freeze there. Honorable members, I put the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Health in its report on the vetting of nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155, 3B of the Constitution, this House approves the appointment of Dr. Oluga Frederick Ouma, OGW, as Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services in the Ministry of Health. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, special motion, consideration of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Public Service and Human Capital Development.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Labor, to move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I write to move that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labor in its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th, 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155, subsection 3, subsection B of the Constitution, approves the appointment of Dr. Jane Kere Imbunya as Principal Secretary, State Department of Public Service and Human Capital Development. Honorable Speaker, following the notification of presidential action nominating Dr. Jane Kere Imbunya for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department of Public Service and Human Capital Development, and subsequent communication by the Honorable Speaker and referral of the Departmental Committee on Labor, A, the Clerk of the National Assembly on the 27th March 2025 facilitated placement of an advert in the print media notifying the public on the date, time, and place of the approval hearing of the nominee. B, in compliance with Section 6, subsection 9 of the In compliance with subsection 6, subsection 9 of the Public Appointments Act, the clerk invites the public to submit memoranda by the way of writing statements on oath on the suitability or otherwise of the nominee. C, in addition, the clerk on the 27th of March 2025 brought to the Kenya Revenue Authority, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the Higher Education Laws Board,
the Honorable Ken Chonga.
Yes.
The detailed report of the committee is already on the table and has been distributed to members. Kindly summarize, if possible, go to the resolution so that the House can make a decision.
Much obliged, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the committee, having considered the nominees' filed questionnaire pursuant to Section 6 subsection 8 of Public Appointments Act, her curriculum vitae, and having had oral and submission during the approval of the hearing, of the State Department of Public Service and Human Capital Development, that one, that she is a Kenyan of ID number 3464, 5601, born in 1961 in Kakamega, that the nominee holds a doctorate PhD from University of Botswana, Masters in Philosophy from University of Botswana, and a Bachelor's of Education from University of Nairobi. That the nominee is currently serving as a dean in the School of Education and Social Sciences at Kaimosi Friends University. She is having previously served as the Director of Quality Assurance and Management System at the same university, and had held difficult positions at the University of Botswana and the Gaborone University College in Botswana. She's also been an education expert advisor of the Botswana Parliamentary Education Committee and a director of research and linkages at Gaborone University College. That the nominee, having conducted the approval hearings pursuant to Section 124, subsection 4, and 155, subsection 3 of the Constitution, Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Act, Cap 7F, and Standing Order 216, subsection 5 and F, the committee recommends that the House approves the appointment of Dr. Jane Keere Imbunya as Principal Secretary, State Department for Public Service and Human Capital Development. Honorable Speaker, I request Honorable James Koyo to second.
I beg to move and request.
I beg to move and request Honorable James Koyo to second.
The Honorable James Koyo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I feel honored to be given the opportunity to support. I am a ranking member of the Labour Committee, and I confirm that the said Dr. Keere Imbunya appeared before us, and we had a rigorous interview. We held a rigorous interview for her, and she proved very suitable, and I believe she will add value to this country when she gets this appointment. And with those few remarks, I wish to support. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labour in its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, which was laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155, 3B of the Constitution, this House approves the appointment of Dr. Jane Keere Imbunya as Principal Secretary, State Department for Public Service and Human Capital Development. Is it the mood of the House that I put the question? Okay. There having been no contribution, there will be no need for a reply. Honorable members, I therefore put the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labour in its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, which was laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155, 3B of the Constitution, this House approves the appointment of Dr. Jane Keere Imbunya as Principal Secretary, State Department for Public Service and Human Capital Development. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 12, special motion, consideration of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Trade.
The Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, to move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its consideration of the approval hearings of Ms. Regina Akoth Ombam, nominated for appointment as Principal Secretary in the State Department for Trade.
Chair, just go by the order paper. And I would beg you start again for clarity of the record.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the House adopts the report of Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its consideration of the approval hearings of Mrs. Regina Akoth Ombam,
Chair, Departmental Committee on Trade, do you have the order paper?
Yes, I have the order.
Please move as per the order paper now.
Honorable Speaker, I wish to move that taking in consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives in its report on the vetting of nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Trade, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and pursuant to the provision of the Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution, approves the appointment of Mrs. Regina Akoth Ombam as Principal Secretary, State Department for Trade. Honorable Speaker, the suitability of the nominee was assessed after scrutiny of her background, academic credentials and professional qualifications, work and professional experience, personal integrity, as well as her performance during the approval hearings conducted on 4th April 2025, upon which the committee made the following findings. 1. The nominee is a Kenyan citizen and does not hold dual citizen in conformity with Article 78 of the Constitution regarding her eligibility for appointment to a state office. 2. The nominee has the requisite academic and professional qualification recognized in Kenya. 3. According to the record and information available to the committee by the nominee and the various clearing agencies, the nominee meets the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity. 4. In accordance with Article 77(2) of the Constitution and the Schedule of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval, Cap 7F, the nominee does not hold office in any political party. 5. The nominee is compliant with Article 75 and 76 of the Constitution on the conduct and financial property of state officers. She indicated the non-existence of potential conflict of interest and committed to declare any should it arise. The committee did not receive any written statement on oath contesting suitability of the nominee as required under Section 6(9) of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F. The committee exercised due diligence and conducted vetting bodies for confidential information, but did not receive any adverse report on the nominee. 8. The nominee demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrational, and technical issues touching on government and the specific sector has been nominated. The nomination of Ms. Regina Accords was in compliance with the Constitution and the Public Appointment Parliamentary Act Cap 7F. The nominee is suitable for appointment as Principal Secretary for the Department for Trade. Honorable Speaker, for this reason, on behalf of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, I am proud to move this special motion on the consideration of Ms. Regina Accords for appointment as Principal Secretary for the Department of Trade. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and now request Honorable Miriam Keitani, MP Aldai, to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I stand to second the nomination of Regina Obam as a for the State Department as a PS State Department for Trade, I would wish to also state that the State Department for Trade, our Kenya government at the moment is faced with a lot of challenges in the trade sector. More specifically is the recent ban on tea in Sudan, and issues to do with trade with the US, the AGOA agreement coming into force and coming to an end with a possible renewal, and many other trade agreements that we are looking at passing, as considering also that we have the EU trade agreement that is already in force, and we require the State Department to actualize that trade agreement and ensure that the Kenyan public benefits from the trade agreements that are already in place, and to ensure that the trade between Kenya and other countries is actually apt. Listening to our experiences, we are very excited that she should be able to meet the task. She's up to the task, and I think she will carry this country forward in terms of getting us to a better level in terms of trade between Kenya and all other countries, whether internal and external trade. I support. Thank you. I second, sorry. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, I propose the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives in its report on the vetting of nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Trade, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution, this House approves the appointment of Ms. Regina Accords Obam, Principal Secretary, Department for Trade. The Majority Leader takes precedence. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the appointment of Ms. Regina Accords as a Principal Secretary in the State Department for Trade. Honorable Speaker, as we consider her approval, and I hope the House will support in approving her, just to tell her that she's coming into office at a time the country and indeed the world trade environment has major challenges. Top among them, Honorable Speaker, is the events that have happened in the US, with tariffs being loaded onto many countries, including Kenya, at the tariff rate of 10%. And this will have new challenges for our goods and commodities, especially our tea and coffee, that largely is exported to those countries in the Americas, in Europe, Honorable Speaker. And as the Vice Chair of the committee has said, there are a number of economic partnership agreements that are in the works. Before this House, we have the economic partnership agreement between the Republic of Kenya and the United Arab Emirates. Just to alert her that she will need to put on very light shoes to be able to run around the world, be able to engage many more trading partners around the world so that our country is not dependent on one or two destinations for our commodities and products, whether it's our agricultural products, whether it's our manufactured product, to open up more trade routes. Opportunity, Honorable Speaker, lies within the African continent. And encouraging more countries to sign up to the African Free Continental Trade Area is one of the quick wins that we can get, and I do hope that Ms. Regina will be able to move with speed and be able to encourage many more African countries to open up their boundaries for our goods to be able to access the very huge potential that lies within the African continent, Honorable Speaker. Even as we look at countries out there, we may not have the muscle to flex with those who are imposing tariffs like the US on our products, Honorable Speaker, because we largely depend on many of them even for our tourism sector. But it is possible to open up many more destinations, open up more trade routes between our country and other African countries, Honorable Speaker, because the African continent is the continent of the future in terms of trade. We are the continent with the youngest age in terms of population that is productive, population that can produce and consume. And therefore, the aging generations in the Americas, in Asia, in Europe, increasingly, they will consume less. And the African continent will increasingly consume more. And therefore, there's a great opportunity within the African continent, Honorable Speaker. And that's why just to encourage Ms. Regina, as she takes office upon approval, should we approve her, to move with speed and help us open up more economic partnership agreements with many other countries, open up more trade routes within the African continent, even as we constructively engage with our colleagues and our partners in Europe and in the Americas, including the government of Donald Trump. They also need our products. Donald Trump is talking about America first. We must also start begin talking about Kenya first, and that which benefits the Kenyan people. Our tea, our coffee in Nebraska, Honorable Speaker, in Seattle, in the US, they are consuming our coffee. As they consume our coffee, Honorable Speaker, it must be Kenya first and Kenyan coffee first. And we must, I'll not get into the tariff war, and we must not be enticed to get into the tariffs war. But we can position our country and brand our coffee, our tea, and our products in a manner that even those countries that think of putting tariffs on them, their population will be telling them, don't tax Kenyan coffee because it is the best coffee in the world. Honorable Speaker, I beg to support.
The Chair, Departmental Committee on Health, the Honorable Dr. James Nyikal.
Chair, I must take this opportunity to really stress that Regina will do this job. To begin, she comes from my constituency, let me say my village. And I know the work she did when she was in the National AIDS Control Council, when it was very difficult to handle the epidemic. She worked effectively, and she has experience in these high levels of government. I support her appointment as the permanent secretary.
The Honorable Dr. Wilberforce Oundo is recognized to contribute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I sit in the Committee of Trade, Industry and Cooperative, and I had the privilege to listen to her when she came to make her presentation. Any misgivings I had looking at her CV were immediately vanished, so I sincerely support. And let me also, as I support Honorable Speaker, to raise about 3 or so fundamental issues, and I speak to her through this floor and to the people of Kenya. Number 1, Africa only contributes 3% of the global trade. Kenya's contribution is your guess, mine, like, So she has 2 tasks, very tough tasks that she has to do. 1, to make sure we claim back our lost potential, our lost significance in trade in the East African region. Uganda used to be our biggest trading partner, but because of the geopolitics, we slowly losing that market. So we must reclaim our dominant level, our dominant position in East Africa and the rest of African country. That will require a lot of repositioning, a lot of investment to ensure that our products and services meet the international standards. Second, Honorable Speaker, the international trade is becoming extremely competitive in terms of logistics, in terms of costs of production, in terms of all those kind of things. It is a tough call for her to make sure that we should deliver. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, the splendid CV she has might end up counting for nothing, and she will just walk through the department and leave for nothing. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I also need to urge her that the better program we are now dealing with, the value chain, it is dead. It must re-energize it, pump in more energy to make sure we change this economy for the better. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi, MP for Bura, to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support the nomination and confirmation on Ms. Legina as the PS for Trade. Mr. Speaker, the task ahead is quite enormous because we know where we are coming from and more so where Kenya is going. In the attempts of the government to transform the economy of this land, we need a lot of coordination between different sectors that hand up forming the bloc called trade. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about inward trade and outward trade. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about the inward trade, we are talking about the products that are coming to our country. And when we talk about our outward trade, is the products that are leaving this country to other countries. Mr. Speaker, if you go to our supermarkets, you will notice that Kenya is like now a supermarket product all over the world. What am I saying? Time has come as a country that we need to enhance our product to become competitive in the international arena. Mr. Speaker, we as the government, our commitment through our Executive the President, who is working down the clock to enhance our sellability of coffee and tea in the international market, has done quite a lot, including enhancing or removal of the taxes on products that go towards the packaging of tea and coffee. Mr. Speaker, the job of the PS is therefore to coordinate with other sectors, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Local and International Relations, including all our embassies worldwide, high commissions, and consulate. We have seen many PSs, boardroom PSs, who don't work very closely with the international arena through our embassies and consulate and high commissions. We hope when Ms. Regina takes up, she will be able to do a lot of coordination with various sectors and also the representatives of Kenya in the international arena. Mr. Speaker, we expect the new PS to align our trade conventions, because that is where we get a low deal. We expect her to go and look at the international conventions on trade and try and align Kenya, because we have some preferential treatment on certain areas. We expect her to take in interest on that. Mr. Speaker, we have so many products that can be exported out there, but they lack a push, they lack coordination, they lack international marketing. So we expect the new PS to take up that responsibility, and because without that commitment, we're not going to go anywhere. I hope and believe that she will fit in, because she has grown up in the public sector, she has grown up in the investment line, and therefore we think she is the best candidate for this. I support, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Tim Wanyonyi, the Member of Parliament for Westlands.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to support the appointment of Regina Akoth as a PS for Trade. Honorable Speaker, I'll pick up from where the majority leader left. Whatever is happening in the world trade-wise, and whatever is happening in America, is a wake-up call for us, for Africa. Africa must now wake up and start trading among ourselves. We can now find our market in Africa. We can sell our products in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, when you travel, you produce the best coffee. But even on Kenya, you will never see them even saying there's Kenya coffee on Kenya when you're asking for coffee. They're just selling coffee. And people who come here take our coffee, blend it with other coffee, and just a small percentage, and they rebrand it and name it. You'll find it Ethiopian coffee, some other coffee, but ours is not.